Well, here we go. Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone doing? It is a Friday Night Live, and we have a few things we need to talk about. We need to talk about the classic storylines. I did a video on it. The members are able to see it. I think it's up there live today. 10 storylines that probably will be happening in this upcoming classic. We need to talk about I did another video. Hey, Scott. Another video about what happened to the Touring Anglers Association. Where did they go out of nowhere? And then, of course, we'll talk a little bit about Ben, because it's still such a hot topic. And if you want to know more about Ben, you can go to Cerebral Tackle did a great video just, I don't even know, maybe 2 or 3 days ago. He had all the information, all the update, and did it really well. But it has me questioning and asking a lot of questions about, hey, Carol, about if this has gone on to the level that it has, and that we know for sure that he didn't have his license, like I had mentioned, from September 1st, September 1st through the middle of February, the beginning of February. That means he didn't have a license for 5 weeks or 5 months. And in that time, he did a lot of videos. So can they come back and try to get him for those past videos? And where does he stand on this? I mean, if he's found guilty or doesn't take a plea bargain, how will this affect his fishing on the Elite Series? And that's something a little bit scary, I think, at this point in time, because we don't know if I'm going to turn this a little bit like that. We don't know at this point in time if this is going to be something that has an effect on his elite status. And it's just such a really weird situation. And where does he stand? That's what I want to know. And if he's found guilty, what do you guys think should be his issue? Hey, Jig Squad. What should be the issue? Is where does he stand? God, that seems like it's huge tonight. That the whole thing there. So let me read this. If it ain't the license, it's the fact he wrote down the license number. Burning season, you're right. There's something up there. I think he just did an announcement on his that he had a new boat. So where would he fish? Would he fish the BFLs? The only reason I say he's got to fish the elites is, why would they put him on a committee for the elites if he's not going to fish the elites? And he was very critical about the elites and the money and stuff like that. So, I really don't know. And yes, Sam, he didn't, in Texas, the licenses expire August 31st at 12 o'clock or 11:59 p.m. So September 1st, his license was expired. And he fished, in my opinion, he probably fished anywhere from 10 to 14 YouTube videos in Texas without a license. And then he caught that big one. And now we know he tried to get his license 3 minutes after. And like CT, what CT said was that the guys that interviewed him found him to be guilty, and he pretty much admitted it. So crazy. Talk about the Open start right. Yeah, the first Open series starts today. I was trying to find out more information about that just this afternoon, and who was leading. I can probably do a little bit of that. Try not to have extra screens open, but let me just go to Bassmaster.com real fast and see. The Opens the Opens start tomorrow. The Opens are really going to be great this season. I have a video on the thing for members, but I think the Opens and the EQ series are going to be as good as ever. And I think with the amount of anglers that are in it and are trying to recommit to the to elites, I think the Opens and the EQ Series is going to be awesome. Let me see this. It was a Texas paper. He wrote down a fake number on it. Oh, I didn't know that. If so, that's even worse. Now, the thing that people are upset about is the whole, why was it considered fraud? And the reason why it was considered fraud, because that's just the way the law works. Let me see what else. My buddy Mark. Hey, Mark. Hope you're doing well. He is the biggest thing going for Bassmaster. So, Tom, I would say you're 100% right. Why does it seem so big today? Oh, what did I just hit? Whatever I just hit, I don't like. Okay, let's go back to that. That made a little. I don't think Ben needs Bassmaster. I think Bassmaster needs Ben, to be honest. But that's just me. Imagine the elites. Yeah, I mean, if Burning Season says it perfectly right. If he's charged with it, in my opinion, I think what's going to end up happening is there's going to be some sort of plea bargain that won't get him in as much trouble. Have to pay a fine, and then it's like pleading the fifth. I mean, when you plead the fifth, you're guilty in most cases. But it's one of those crazy situations that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Steve, do I think he'll be? I don't think he'll be tossed out of elites, Bernie. I think that he brings so much of a bigger following because of who he is. It's like years ago, like I think it might have been the first or second year. You remember the guy from he's on Guggen's squad, joined the NPFL, and the NPFL brought him in only because Rob Turcola. Only reason he got on there was because they could use his platform to make the NPFL bigger. It didn't work because Rob was horrible. I don't want to say horrible. Rob didn't cut it as a pro angler, and he then backed out of a couple tournaments, and it just got to a bad situation. But in the terms of Ben, like I said, I think the elites need Ben more than Ben needs the elites. That's just me. I agree with you here. He should be treated like every person. If I don't have a license and this was me, I would say do it. I think the problem that most people have here, though, and for me, is that I wanted to see him apologize for the situation and just go, I made a mistake. And I know it's an ongoing situation, and he doesn't want to admit wrongdoing and fault, but I think it would have been better just to do it. It's the same thing I say about, as much as I've harped upon this a lot lately in a couple upcoming videos, is the Zaldane issue. I really believe Chris should have just admitted wrongdoing and said, I was wrong. And he didn't. He doubled down and said, it was this guy's fault, or it was maybe both our faults. No, that isn't the case. There were two guys there fishing. You came in on two guys and started the whole thing. Now, were they chirping at you and being mean and all that other stuff? Yes. However, if someone had done that to Chris, he would have had an uproar. And I think you just sometimes need to apologize for your wrongdoings and just move on. And the problem is they're not, these guys don't do it. Can Texas give him a pass? I think at this point in time, I don't think Texas can give him any pass. I think they want to use him as an example and say, here's all these people and that do this, and this is what's going to happen to you. Doesn't matter if you're a YouTuber, a content creator, if you're on the elites, you break this rule, and this is the problem. And you want to know what the thing is Jim, and it was a great question. The thing is then you have to start questioning if he got his license everywhere. And that's part of the issue now is, did he get his license when he was in Florida? Did he do this? And, when you don't get your license at the place that you live in, you will question everything. He's the new Wheeler. Yeah, he doesn't. He says it as is. I think Ben is a fantastic YouTuber. I think what he does in the content and how big his channel is and how big he is, I think he is unbelievable. And it's, as someone who does this content every day, I mean, It is a tough thing to do. Yeah, if he loses his license in Texas, there's a possibility that Florida and South Carolina and other states will not give him a license, and he will have to. He will have to. Um, he'll have to figure something else out, and it needs to be done really before the first tournament, because, and I don't think it'll be done before the first tournament. I think this will be something that'll be ongoing and long and long and long and long, and then it'll happen sometime in the middle of the year. But after, in my opinion, I'd like to see the whole thing solved before the Classic in Texas. Yeah, he won't be able to get a license. Well, yeah, Tanker, you're right. It puts his integrity into question. Well, I mean, no disrespect. I question it when you put clickbait stuff on. When you're so worried about getting that click that you'll say, "Oh, this is the greatest lure of all time," and then you never show this lure except in your thumbnail. That kind of crap pisses me off. Yeah, Bernie, I'm right there with you. I don't agree. You know, you also have to remember, Ben is an absolutely marketing genius. And that fish was caught on the new bait that was just released the last couple days. And they probably sold out on it. It's like that hangover bait. We all watched him catch fish after fish after fish on that hangover. And when the hangover came out, they sold 40,000 lures in 48 hours or 24 or 48 hours at $20 each. They absolutely smashed it. And Ben's popularity and his marketing and catching big fish on these lures has a big impact on Sixth Sense's bottom line of selling lures. And when you have a new bait that catches a 13-pound bass that you want to get into the Share Lunker program or Lunker Share program, whatever it's called, and then you get the clout of catching that giant fish and the publicity and everything else, there's a lot to it. It makes sense, but it still shouldn't have happened. LMO, I think what happens is if you get your license suspended in Texas, there's several states that won't allow you to get your license other place. That happened to an angler just recently that didn't have his license and then got found guilty or whatever it was. And then the next thing you know, he wasn't able to get a license in Florida and South Carolina and other places. And it killed him. He had to quit. You're right. What comes around goes around. Integrity, respect. So, Sam, I respect this. As a content creator, you have to give them. It's like, I made a mistake the other day. I put that video out about whoever it was. I don't even know the name of the video. It was so long ago. But I talked about who's the most disliked or something. And I had Randy in there, and overwhelmingly everybody talked about Randy. And I said, look, you have to give Randy a little bit of credit. You might not like his issues with forward-facing sonar, and I don't. But I'm respecting him as a content creator, because I can honestly tell you, it is a nightmare to come up with topics to do every day and not to say the same thing over and over and over. And while he has dug his foot in with the forward-facing sonar, you have to give it to it. And in the case of Ben, what Ben's done with 550, 580, 600,000 subscribers, he's amazing on YouTube. You're right, Jeffrey. Oh, he's been fishing. He has his license now, so he's all right. But it was last year. It was from 2023, September 1st, 2023 to February 4th or 5th of 2024. That's where it comes down to. And if you look at how many videos he did in that time, it was 10, 12, 14 videos where he caught fish in Texas. But you really can't go, well, maybe sometimes, like for me, like today I did 2 videos at one time. It might not look like it, even though I wear the same shirt or something like that. But sometimes you do more than one video a day if you can. So there we go, Gene. Well, If that's the case, Gene, then you want to know what the problem is? Then he has a serious, serious issue. Oh, there it is. CT said the same thing. So I know it's right then. Are you going to trade his interior as a sport just because he has a great tenure? No. I mean, he's wrong. There's no doubt about it. So I did the radio show from 2000. Oh, hold on one second. I just needed to reply to a text. I've been waiting on something. So when I did the radio show, we had myself, Boudreaux, and Mike. And one of the things, Mike was a guide. So one of the things that Boudreaux didn't fish a lot, even though we did a fishing show. He didn't fish a lot. He fished only a couple days a year, and he let his fishing license expire. And one of the things I had said to him was, if you get caught fishing without a license, then it reflects on our radio show. Because why would we be talking about making sure we have licenses and making sure at that time the FLW, the Fish and Wildlife Commission down here, was a sponsor of the show, and here you don't have a fishing license. And it made me crazy because that would reverberate through all of us, through Mike and myself. And so I would say it would be tough. That's all. Yeah. Burning season. The hangover bait was horrible, in my opinion. I know there are a lot of people. I did that video, and there were a lot of people that really loved it, and I respect them that they've been able to catch fish. I thought it was the worst bait I've ever seen. And no offense. Tim, that's the even better question. If he didn't catch that fish, he would have continued to fish without a license until someone caught him or something happened. That's where there's so many other layers to this. It's like an onion. There's layers of it that we just don't know. And that's crazy. Van Ryn, are you in this chat? I don't know who that is. Jake Swad. Go check out Jake Swad's Instagram page. It's one of the best. How about a co-angler question? If a new co-angler that had a portable forward-facing sonar system that mounted to any boat and would fish from the back, use his own forward. I mean, if you had that, you could bass for him. I think that's the goal in the future for forward-facing sonar, that there will be, that technology will be able to be used. And it's something that could work, but you still have to remember the person that's on the front is still guiding you to where they think they want you to go. And in most cases, anglers aren't moving by fish to let the angler in the back get it. So bass for him, I would say that would be the only issue. I'm going to move this slightly over right now because I keep hitting it with my knuckle when I'm trying to grab the mouse. I think Texas Huntsman, I think between Ben and Randy, you have a very close, it might be 55-45. Is that how many subscribers he has? 600,000? That's ridiculous. Is greatest. Yeah, well, he'll tell you he's the greatest angler. That's like if you ask Phil Hellmuth who the best poker player is, it's him. It might, if you ask all the other pros, yeah, Phil Hellmuth's probably the greatest tournament player, but cash game wise, you might say Phil Ivey or somebody else. Steve, what's happening? So I should say most of the videos that I'm doing right now, I find are interesting about these cheaters. There are more videos upcoming. There's going to be a week of just like all cheaters that have happened in the past. And I'm trying to bring awareness of how these people are doing it so that other people, because as crazy as this might sound, there's a lot of professional anglers that do watch the channel to see what's going on news-wise, or what's going on in the industry, what's going on in the elites versus what's going on in the BPT and the MPFL. So there's been so much cheating in the past that it's almost ridiculous. Can we get Surbutech on here and see that kisser? CT is the man for sure. I don't know if he'll show you his face. He isn't that way. Jakes, I'm sorry to hear it, but I said in the past in this live that yeah, that's the craziest thing. It's been crazy. Everyone go check out Small Water Charters. I wanted to go fishing with them the last couple of years. Small Water, just out of curiosity, have you seen the bass spawning in Okeechobee? Because I actually heard that it was happening last month. If you can put that in the chat, that would be great. Are there any states that have automatic renewal option for licenses, and is Texas one of them? I don't think Texas is one of them. I can't think of a reason for any tournament or content. I'm agree. Mine automatically renews every 5 years. Pending that I have the same debit card. So I don't think Texas does, but there's a perfect example. Hard to find money to pay for license when you're paying elite fees. Well, there isn't any elite fees. He had to pay $10,000 this year. So his elite fees have gone down drastically. So that's a good thing. Oh, okay. Arizona has auto renew. That's good. Senior Fly Fishing League needed. Seniors Fishing League needed. I think you're going to find out the MPFL. That's what they're going to get, and that's what people are going to say is a seniors league. I will say I want to do a video on one angler that's on the MPFL. Most of the anglers are generally older. There's a few younger guys, but they had, of the 124, they had 76 auto renew. Or not auto renew, they renewed or stayed with them and got more. So the MPFL, I think at some point in time, people are going to start saying they're the senior leagues because they don't have a feeder league to get people in. And then the second thing is they don't have a lot of younger crowds. And here's why they're not getting a younger crowd. And something we need to remember is that our youth have been taught how to catch fish using forward-facing sonar. The one thing I've been trying to strive to my son is that we need to learn how to catch fish the old-fashioned way. We don't need to use the technology. Let's throw a worm. Let's throw a frog. Let's do all these things. And it doesn't mean that the guys that are using forward-facing sonar can't do exactly what we're doing. But I want to teach Thomas how to read the water, how to see a spot and go, I think a fish will be there. And that's something that we've lost because of technology. Happy to see you, brother. I think this will be a great classic to attend. No storylines. I think Thomas, I think you're 100% right on this. There's a really good chance that a young angler, a young scoper, I think Jordan Lee's in there. I think Trey McKinney's got to be one of the people we talk about in here. I have 10 storylines, and I'll tell you, I did a video on it today, and the members already have seen it. Here's 10 topics or 10 storylines that I have going into the Classic. Number one was, will a Texas angler win the Classic? Number two, Jordan Lee comes back home. Can he win his third Classic? Let me take this down. Sorry, Thomas. Hide. Number three, will the winning angler use forward-facing sonar? And I talk about how it's going to play a pivotal role. Number four, can a 2024 elite rookie win the Classic? Fifth storyline, can a bank beater, brush piler, shallow angler win the Classic? Someone like John Cox, like Greg Hackney, some of these guys that aren't using the technology like most of the other guys. Can one of those guys win the Classic? 6, what will happen to Ben Milliken? That's the truth. 7, can a Bass Nation qualifier take home the trophy? I'm going to talk about that. 8, will this be the highest Classic watched and attended? 9, how will the 2025 Classic differ from the 2021 Classic? Because the Classic was there in 2021. This is the 4th time it's been in Texas. And so how will it be different? And can Justin Hamner win back-to-back titles? So that is a video that is online for members right now. And that's part of the storylines that I think we need to watch for. That's funny. Let me just go through this. Kraken, maybe. Sam Axe is getting the thing. The goal for some and the never enemy for others. Yes. The bottom line is that you have to have a villain and there's no suspense. So there's a video. I'm just gonna hold on a second. I'm gonna share. Now, members are getting these videos a lot earlier than everybody else. So just remember that. Just remember that. So when I go to my videos, upcoming videos, there's Monday, I think, is a video about who is the most hated angler of all time. See how wild? I put a screen on there and see how much brighter I get. So just bear with me for a second. So Monday is who's the most hated angler of all time. Then we'll have the Mike Long story. Then we'll have best and worst in bass fishing. Oh, I did an award thing. Forgot about that. Who to watch for at the Bassmaster Opens. We'll talk about how tournament cheaters have changed the way. We talk about 2 bass cheaters taking fish from bass 140 miles away to where they were. We have cheaters caught winning 6 times before being caught. Then lately, today has been the 10 storylines to watch during the upcoming Classic and what happened to the Tournament Touring Anglers Association. So we'll go through this. I'm going to put this up. This is Dakota Ebert is the next superstar. Jeff, everyone who doesn't know, go check out Jeff Fitz Fishing. Subscribe to his channel. He's 100% right. Couldn't be more right on this. Ebert and Easton Fothergill, unbelievable. My boy Brett. Has MLF decided that there's enough sponsor money to support 8 anglers making a good living as a true professional? Is there enough for 50? I think what Boyd's deal is he wanted this to be the most elite group of anglers. And if it's as elite as it can be and being at 50 and being tough to get into it and making people have to really work to get into it, that's his goal. And he thinks that at 50, there'll be even more money for those anglers. And you're not having the upper guys feed on the bottom guys. Because at 50, all those guys, any of those 50 guys could win any week, anytime. When you have 123, 140, there's some guys that really don't stand a chance. Oh, I didn't know that. So there. See? And it was $40. How's his fishing without Ford? Could he hang? Are you talking about Ben? Or are you talking about Dakota? Cerebral. Michael, good to see you. Hey, Frank, he says. Caro's in the house. Caro's always on. Plus, holy cow, what just happened? Lifetime. This is exactly right. If you have an opportunity to get, I hate to say this, I don't know where everything scrolled down to, so I apologize. Oh, yeah, here we go. If you have an opportunity to get a fishing license and at the money that he makes and does, he should have got a license forever. This is a stupid thing. Yeah, you're right, Steven. And the best commenter of all time. Everyone's saying hi to everyone. Hey, Tex, do you need to opt in for? So I don't know. So that would be Texas Huntsman can say that. And I'll go through these. Missouri does. Yes, they're spawning at Donkeyland as well. Just need to warm up. I should come down. SC has auto renew. So there you go. Let's go through this as fast as possible. Arkansas, Steve, Arizona. Sorry. You know, I'm not smart, Carol. You know, you've texted me. We've talked before. I'm a talking monkey in most cases. Okay, younger dudes join MPL. Yeah, I mean, if you've learned how to fish with forward-facing sonar and then out of nowhere it's taken away from you, you're in trouble. Nice 915. That is a nice fish. That is a nice fish. Everyone goes check out Small Water Charters. He's a guide too. A small water charter kit was on This Week with Todd Castledine and said Okeechobee a shell of itself. What's going on? You know, down here in Florida, depending on the weather, either it's hot or it's not. I mean, if we get a cold front, our fishing just shuts down. So it's like that. 75 watching, only 16 likes. Yeah, please hit that like and subscribe. I wish Bassmaster would do one of those days without the sonar either day. I agree with you. I think the one mistake that Tom, that Bassmasters did is that they didn't change the whole thing with forward-facing sonar, and really it probably comes down to money. They need the money revenue coming in from those people. Some of those contracts are $500,000 a year. You can't wipe that out. The one thing NPFL now has to worry about is they'll never ever get a technology-based electronics company to ever support what they're doing. And that's a lot of money to take away from what's going on. Patricia Leanne, what? I don't know. At some point in time, every angler probably will. If it gets reasonably priced, Jeffrey, it's going to happen. Oh, that stinks. We also have like the worst spraying things ever. Like down over here in Harris Chain, they start spraying stuff and things just get ridiculous. Ben's case was intended to draw into this. Okay. It's Hackney's year. So when I talked to that guy, Justin, and Justin, I think it's Justin Wilson Outdoors. One of the things he said is that during the summer, they flood it. So fish are a little bit deeper into those pockets and into the grass. And that's how Greg likes to fish. He likes to flip that jig and flip and punch. And Greg is the best at it, one of the best at it. But during the winter, there's a drawdown, not really a drawdown, but the water goes down, and that those places that they fished in the 2019 Classic aren't going to be available in 2025. So those guys are going to have to get deeper, unfortunately. And Sam, I agree with you. John Cox lives right here. And John is one of the best guys in the whole world. He is really humble and nice and genuine. It would be fantastic for him to win. I would love to see it. But like I said, that Justin Wilson Outdoors said to me, some of those guys are going to find him one day, but then the next day they're going to have 5 or 6 or 10 pounds. You might have 30 one day, but then you're going to have 8 the next day. And in a video that I did today, it's about consistency. And one of the things that I really dislike when the Classic comes around is everyone starts talking about how everyone's going to swing for the fences. And in my opinion, and I'm talking about the Classic now, Jones, is that swinging for the fences isn't the right thing to do. If you can get on a consistent bite and then just keep catching 2 or 3 cookie cutters and then going after that big fish, that spawning fish. In my opinion, that's the way to win it. But what people are going to do is they're going to get on the bank, and those guys are going to bank beat, and they're going to have one day good, but then they're going to go back out there to the same place, fish the same way, and that second day is going to be crap. And those guys that are offshore are now going to be able to have fish that are plentiful and consistently getting in there. And that's going to be the key to the Classic, in my opinion. I think that any Texas angler, who would I predict to win the upcoming Bassmaster Classic? I think any Texas angler is going to be there. I like Easton Fothergill. I like Jordan Lee. I think Trey McKinney is going to be in there. I think it's going to be a great Classic. I'm not sure we're going to have the same. I think we'll be told it's been the biggest Classic ever watched. I don't think it will be. I think there's so many people that are tired of forward-facing sonar and watching guys stare down that they've, they're pissed off. That's the best way to put it. Can't stand. I agree with that. We fish Donkeyland. It's known by us direct, but it's some of the best. And that guy, he catches crappie and bass and everything. Hats off to Tyler Williams for throwing his hat into the Old Folk MPFL League. That's exactly right. I was told I'm trying to do something with Tyler. It's not going as well as I would have anticipated, but that's the goal, to do something, to talk about with him about it. I think there's a couple people we'll have on the show here coming up. One of them probably, hopefully next week, will be Drew Gregory. He's going to talk about how he was disqualified and then got back into it. He's a kayak angler, kayak champion. I thought it'd be good to talk to him because I don't know much about him. So I'm looking forward to that one. Mike Long has to be, you're right. Mike Long, that video comes out in like 2 days. So we'll see that. Oh my God, I saw the video and I looked up. Yeah, there's a video up there. It's only for members, but you guys will see it soon. Okay, I got a good topic for you. For all those guys roommate together, what do you think? Has the strongest clique of Bassmaster elites in the misfits? I think that rooming together is, and Tom, let me just say, fantastic question. Like, I have really delved into this subject. So I have a really, really close friend that does roommates with 2 other fantastic anglers. And then, I know I'm friends with Elite, Edwin, and those guys too. I'm actually doing a dinner. Well, I don't want to go into that right yet until it's official. But I'm making a dinner for a group of anglers, and I'm going to try to do a live show after it. It will be once in a lifetime, 7 anglers. Just saying right now. It could be monstrous, but we'll see. Still working on the details and got to do it. But anyway, I think that the anglers that room together are able to talk about strategy. Like, I'm just going to use the example of Wheeler and Cannell and Daniels and Avina. All great anglers, but when they're able to feed off each other and to learn from each other on what's going on and gather, and even though it's gathering information and they're allowed to talk to each other, it helps set them all up for success. And years ago, you'd only see 1 or 2 anglers sharing maybe a hotel room together, and they would still hide their stuff from one another. In the case of the Wheeler clan or the guys from the Elites, the Johnston group, those guys are helping each other succeed to the next level. And I think that's very important right now because, especially for the BPT group, they're going to have 1 forward-facing sonar deal, 2 without. And those guys are going to be able to bounce ideas off each other to find out not only where they're fishing, but what is being used to catch fish. And there's a lot to go on with that. Leanne, what if Texas suspends? So, Leanne, great question. I think if that happens, the internet might break. Just like I think if Trey McKinney wins the Classic, I mean, literally everything's going to shut down. I mean, TikTok is going to shut down on Sunday. Instagram will shut down that same day too. And that's just a joke. Steve, do we need to unify the Bass Pro industry? We do. It's good to have competition, Jim, and great question. It's good to have the competition amongst each other. When FLW was going against Bass, it was good for the league. But at that point in time, there was a lot of non-endemic sponsors on board. If Bass and MLF were to join, it would be the best case scenario, excluding the problem that we'd have is that the BPT or whatever it would happen, you'd have to cut a bunch of people out of it. When the BPT and the Elite started, I used to say if they merged again, or if one went down, it would be detrimental to the success of bass fishing. And I still think somewhat that would happen. I think if they were to merge, it would allow the sponsors to not have to put money over here against putting money over there. And they at times, the manufacturers and businesses need to pick a side. Excuse me, I'm burping. Need to pick a side on which one they're going to go with. And I'm not sure that's the best thing to happen right now because sponsorships are horribly hard to get right now. I know a top 5 angler. This is no exaggeration. I might have said this last week that he probably is going to lose $30,000 or $40,000 this year because of sponsorships. They've just cut down. it would mean more entry fees. But like for the BPT, Jeffrey, the BPT guys voted on making their entry fees $6,400 because they want 150 for first place. They want more money in the pot to win. I mean, it's a gambling situation any way you look at it. But the BPT guys wanted to put more money in, where the elites had a group, not the committee, had a group of people think, well, let's get rid of the entry fees and just slash the payouts. And then everyone went on an uproar. And then they all decided to put in 10 grand, and that's changed how things are. But I think if you talk to a majority of anglers, while the non-entry fees it's great, but they still need to make money. And the problem is that when there's no entry fees, there's not a lot of money to put back into the payouts. And that's where it comes down to. I know I got to come down. Yeah, I think you have my phone number. We need to talk at some point. Actually, I'm going to Stewart tomorrow. Hold on. And going to be a league and then I qualification. Okay, who got Fish Sabine River Authority to further the Lunker program? Ben is making more out of us talking about this online. You're right. You're right. And bad publicity is still good publicity. MLF is paying down to 20th place. 20th place is getting $15,000, and 21 to 30 is getting 10 grand. Just a thought. I would love to hear your opinion. Bass and MLF are horrible when it comes to social media marketing. Yeah, I think, Brett, great question. I think what happens, and I'll just keep that up. You don't have to see me. I think what happens is that they're trying to they want the anglers to promote themselves and promote their sponsors. That is the key. The problem that they have is that, with MLF, I think you and I have talked about, the team trails was horrible to figure out. Wish I could figure out how that was. Let's see, I did it again. Crapola. Wish there was a way to figure out how to size the comments, but I don't know how. What does that do? No, that's not what I want. So anyway, I don't know. We'll keep going. Where am I? My God, am I that far behind, guys? Holy crap. I'm sorry I'm so far behind. I'm going to go through a bunch of them right now. Yeah, Mike Long is a piece of junk. CT loved the new intro. Yep. He loves that. I meant in this year's class, even Hackney. Yeah, Hackney has a chance to win. But like I said, the scopers and the guys who are fishing deep, like I talked to that Justin guy, and he mentioned deep fishing is going to be where it's at. And that's unfortunate. I'm pouring the worst Gatorade of all time. Yellow Gatorade sucks, by the way. I don't know why. No, I'm not going to say that. I have to drink the yellows before I can get to the blues. I hate this flavor. Anyway, Hackney would be great. I agree with you, Jeffrey. Okay. Timing and placing couldn't be better. Will the NPFL still allow? I think so. I think they allow certain electronics they're allowed. I think the only ones they don't allow is forward facing. National Bass bunch of piss poor channels so far. Oh, okay, Kraken. 360, yes. South Georgia says yes. Elmo says over under 12 hole jumpers. Oh, yeah. That'll be great. Patrick Walter said Chris Zaldane Chris has every opportunity to win than anybody. The one thing I have a question about with Zaldane is what happened to him in 2019. He just shit the bed. And I mean that in the nicest way. Patrick Walters has a really good shot to win. I think Patrick Walters, in my opinion, Jeffrey, Patrick Walters is one of the top 3 anglers in the world. I think Patrick Walters can do everything. John Cox is a hardcore grinder. He is looking to make a check consistent. Yep, John is one of the best anglers out there. Whatever happened to Hank Cherry, don't even hear about the guy much. He won the Classic those 2 years, didn't qualify for the Classic that I know of this year. And when you're not staying consistent at being at the top, and I'm pretty sure Hank, and I could be wrong, I'm pretty sure Hank isn't a scoper. And these days, if you're not a scoper, you're not doing as well as everyone else. That's the crazy thing. You would if the front guy needed a fish. I don't know what that means, but sorry, Kraken. I'm confused. Kyle Welcher, NPFL Angler of the Year. Yep, great year for Kyle. Great year for Kyle. I thought Kyle and I had a friendship, but I don't know if we do anymore. I've texted him when I texted him when he won the Angler of the Year, and he texted me back. And then I had a question because I wanted to do a certain video, and then I get ghosted. I'm not sure I'm going to keep up with that. I'm not real. In my opinion, ghosting somebody is really uncool. Drew's cool. Drew, if you're talking about Drew Cook, or yeah, Drew Gregory is, yeah, I'm looking forward to having him, Carol. Zaldane will only win if there's a was Hank Cherry on BTL last year? Probably. Hank Cherry's he's a really good dude. Really good dude. There was literally nothing else going on last time. They were in Texas for the classes. Oh, okay. So I think you're correct. And great comment, Swat. I'm not, and not only it's a different time of year, but I think, and I say this in the nicest way possible, Bassmaster's numbers are always inflated. Some people say, oh, Bassmaster people say, no, Steve, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. I have looked up the Bassmaster ratings for this season for every tournament on the Nielsen ratings. I paid for a Nielsen rating thing. And I can tell you, the numbers are so far skewed, it's ridiculous. But that's neither here nor there. Would love to pay. Yeah, that would be great. You know, it would be great. Jacob Fouts will win the Classic. I think Jacob has a great opportunity to win the Classic. You love Edwin. He isn't in it, but I love Edwin too. I'll put money in for that. I would CT with content. You guys are getting it. I was in a similar situation with Mark Davis in 1998. He was awesome about sharing water. That's wonderful. Mark Davis has a great story that almost made me cry on live radio years ago. Yeah, Lee Livesey is one of the best guys in the whole world. I don't know Lee really well. We've had some not run-ins where it's bad, where we've talked, hey, Lee, blah, blah, blah. I've never reached out to talk to him and get him, but he's one of those guys I just think is going to be fantastic. So I'm not sure. I had someone today say that they would pay me to go to the Classic. And I'm not sure I'm going to do it. Not that I don't appreciate this person saying that they would do that for me. I just don't want to do that for a sponsor and then not live up to the obligations. And like for years when I did the radio show, the problem of doing going to the Classic and covering it live and doing stuff is that I found myself just completely, utterly beyond exhausted. And there were 3 of us because you'd go around and do the media stuff and do all this stuff. And then getting the content out the same day now isn't as hard because when I did it years ago, I would say that editing probably took me a lot longer. Now I've learned every shortcut in editing and it makes life a little bit easier, but getting that information out and being timely is really crucial to how the success of the video is. And when you're dealing with iCast and you're dealing with the Classic, it gets tough to do. I have a place to stay if I want to go. I have someone that wants a sponsor that would like me to go and cover it and wear their branded stuff. And so you can see their logo on my stuff. But I'm not 100% sure I want to do that. And I should say the person that's asking me is a very close friend. So he knows my whole thing. I would love to see Trey win the Classic. He has a great chance. He really does. Let's see. When will we see this merger? It has to come at some point. Tom, so before the split happened, there were 3 opportunities for MLF to purchase Bass. And they didn't sell because there's owners that own a different portion of it compared to Chase. And those owners believe that it was undervalued. It was undervaluated, or however you say that word. And because of that, they believe that Bass was worth more. But at some point in time, there'll have to be discussions on Bass buying MLF or MLF buying Bass. And at this point in time, I know that Bass and Boyd and Chase get together every couple times a year. There's not a lot of hatred there anymore, that from what I understand. But they get together, have a dinner, talk about things, but they still, each one of them overevaluates each other, and that's the problem that they have. Okay, I don't know what that means. Watch out, everyone. Put money on the hook. Laughing out loud, Caro. Let's see. If you guys are just going to it, go ahead, Caro. He says, Edwin, Evers, Lee, Martin, Wheeler, Christie. Next extended Weenie merger has to revitalize the sport. I agree with you. Sorry, everyone, I won't be on the leads this year. I knew it. I was waiting for that. Patrick Walker, yellow is amazing. How did you go from catching 20? I don't know. My dislike for him is notwithstanding. I know Texas Huntsman hasn't liked Milliken for years. What's the nicest way to shit the bed? He should. I don't know what happened to him. Honestly, I don't know. I really don't. That's that. Well, if I'm starring that. I don't know if that does anything, to be honest. When it's someone else's bed, Michael. Exactly. Cooper Gallant for the Classic. Good shot. He has a great shot because he's going to be scoping. That's great. Zaldane may invite Cerebral Tackle to room with him as they're good. If from your mouth to God's ears, from your mouth to God's ears, if you have a boat following Zaldane around, it should be full of women with Karen hair haircuts hanging side. I want to talk to your wife manager. Hilarious. Steve, you should watch a party live of maybe the last days of Bassmaster. Yeah. Hit me up in your gear. Yep. We have 2 weeks left till the first BPT tournament. I'm looking forward to it. We have the first open starting tomorrow. We're finally back into the season. We're finally back into it. I will be doing the BPT. Hey, Bassman. I will be doing the BPT, trying to figure out who is the people out of that. Now we have to get rid of 15 more people. So I'm going to continue to do those. I had fun doing those, even though they were a nightmare. I still had fun doing them. Here we go. How would you fix the sport in all divisions if you could play God? I don't ever want to play God, first off, but I understand your question. I would have one league. And then if NPFL wants to do their thing, then NPFL can do their thing. I think that you need to have 2 competing leagues. I don't know if you need to have 3. I think that having 2 would allow the sponsors that are on BPT and Bass, because they are the biggest ones, would be able them to merge and to not be wasting money on other things. I think that would be the perfect case scenario. I think it would be better and I'm crazy. I'm going to be shot by somebody, or not shot. Someone's going to say this to me, and I apologize now. I think it would be better for the elites to buy the BPT. However, I think you have to use the format of BPT, and you have to make the anglers, or the amount of anglers included into the league, drastically cut. You need to have it at like 75. This 103 and stuff doesn't really work real well for me. Oh, I don't know about that. You let those lives and amp this. When are you gonna get on these lives? Everyone's been asking that. I think he's a little sore. Are the opens live coverage chat? I'm confused by that. Here he is. Yes. Yeah, everyone hit that like button and subscribe. Do me a favor. I have a goal and I'm still really far away from the goal. So if you're not a subscriber, click that subscribe button, please. Yeah, he's been hurt. I believe Bass is getting better with the 2 division fish off. It's going to be, I agree with you. I think for the opens, I agree with you. I think the opens are going to be some of the best tournaments there is this year. Am I going to do ICAST this year? So ICAST is just so up in the air for me, to be honest. If we're just going to be completely honest, the problem with ICAST is it's the same time as state championships for swimming. So the last couple of years, I could probably attend 1 day or 2 days, but you have to remember that ICAST is $150 for me to attend. I used to get in from my outdoor writers stuff. I used to get in that way. It doesn't work that way anymore. So now it's $150. It's probably $35 to park. And then you got food and drinks for the day. And so I kind of figured out it was probably about a $200 day. Now, it's great to go see all the friends that I've made in this industry since 2006, 2007, somewhere in there. But seeing those people, like, it's really good to go see Daddy. And I call Bill Dance Daddy. It's good to see him. I strive to go see him. But the problem then is that you have to look at it as if I'm doing this as a business on here, I got to look at the decision of, is it really important to do the ICAST over what the overall cost is? And $200 isn't a lot of money, but it still, in my opinion, is a lot of money. And at the point at where I'm at in terms of what I see at ICAST now, the first couple years, it was absolutely ridiculous. I loved every second of it, seeing the new products, doing all that stuff. But now I'm kind of jaded, where unless you show me something drastically amazing, I kind of feel like it's all a little sketchy. Like it's all the same thing over and over. And then when you start looking at the time it takes to do all that and what is going on, it's just really tough. The tough thing about a merger is it would be, I don't know what it says, economy. Yes, folks, please hit like and subscribe. Thanks, CT. There is too much money behind the scenes for there to be a merger. It will only happen if one is bleeding. Well, I know that right now that the Bass and the Elites are not making, that was weird, are not making a lot of money. They are in the hole. That's what I was told. So, you know, it's weird. ICAST is overrated. ICAST is good the first. If you go as somebody that has never been to ICAST, or it's like the best way to put it is, I would say going to ICAST is like going to the Classic for the first time. It's phenomenal. You're gonna be your mind is gonna explode. The amount of people you see, the things you can get, all that stuff is wonderful. I go to the ICAST now, and I don't want you to hand me anything. If you want me to hand me something, then I have to drag that shit around for the whole day. And then I get very irritated. And then I'm like, why wouldn't they send this to me before I got here? You want me to do a review on it? Send it to me where I don't have to carry it. You can send it to the house directly. Most of the people have my address as is. But it's one of those things that it just makes me, it's crazy. Have I heard about the strategy with the MLS 2 periods with live scope and 1 without? I have. I've talked to one top 5 angler that I keep in touch with way too often. You'd think we were brothers at this point in time. And he was fishing just recently. We talked about strategy. I wanted to know what his strategy was going to be like. And he was very adamant about, he wasn't sure how things were going to work. And he really couldn't talk strategy with me. He was like, here's what I think is going to happen. I think you're going to see that when they think it's going to be tough fishing, that's when most of them are going to have forward-facing sonar being used. And then they're going to hope that they can dial it back in either after or before on the other things. I think the BPT way of what they're doing this year is the most intriguing way for forward-facing sonar. While I appreciate what MPFL has done with prohibiting it, I think the BPT way of it is the best. That's just my opinion. I think it actually makes the BPT better this year. And I thought last year BPT made, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I thought the BPT made giant gains in catching up to Bass in elites. I know that sounds crazy. I mean, no disrespect. I just felt like they started to make the move up. And I think what they did last year, and then hopefully if they don't make amount of drastic changes, that they're going to continue to step up. Will they ever really catch the elites? Probably not, unless we have a couple more years of like last year. Last year was a shit show with elites in every part of it. Getting a hold of people, doing all of it. I didn't like it at all, but that's just me. Should they take the top 10 from AOI from each and have it? That would be Bradley. That would be Michael. That would be phenomenal. That would be phenomenal. I'm in for that. That's what I thought the TAA could do. Have you heard anything on MLF about strategy? Oh, yeah, that's what I just answered. Thomas has so many, and that's right. And you know me. And this year will be the first year that Thomas isn't in age groups for state championships. And I love all you guys. I'm going to tell you that I love all you guys, but my son comes before everything, and I think that's with everybody. But in my case, my son really comes before everything. I put Thomas and my wife in front of my needs all the time. That's just the type of person that I am. I'm a better team player. I'm not an I player. That's why I say to you guys, you are my friend, you're my family, and I mean that, and you're my team. I know I'm the face. This is what you see, but behind the scenes, you guys tell me things, and I take them to heart, and I try to make changes and try to be better, because I appreciate when people tell me are critical of stuff. Oh, Stephen Dorsey, Jesus, you're the man. I don't get those very often. You are the man. ICAST is networking. Yes, you're right. ICAST is about networking. It's about seeing the old people you don't know and doing it. And the problem with ICAST, it's just like 3 years ago, I went 3 days. I figured when I did my little thing on my phone, it tells you how many steps you do. When it was all said and done over 3 days, I walked 27 miles. Because, you have an interview here and you have an interview there. It's never right next to each other. And from one end of the convention center to the other, if you go from one side to the other and back, is exactly 1 mile. It's not a small place in Orlando. And that's the new one. The old one's even bigger. The old convention center even bigger. And so even though ICAST has gotten a little bit smaller year after year, it's still a lot of walking. And there's, it's really great to go there. And so you guys don't know the whole story about Boudreaux. Boudreaux died a couple years ago. That was part of the radio show. And he was a big part of the radio show. He was why I moved over to radio with him. And Boudreaux died because he had that flesh-eating disease. And the year after Boudreaux died, and I haven't talked about this publicly, the year after Boudreaux died, going through ICAST was horrible. And while we did this show together and I was the voice, Boudreaux was always the face. I've never been very comfortable, and I've said this a lot of times, I'm not comfortable in front of a camera. I don't find myself attractive. I'm fat, I'm ugly, and I'm abnormally tall. Not abnormally, I'm 6'4.5". I'm tall. And I think of myself as Shrek. And you can laugh at that. You won't hurt my feelings. So when Boudreaux died that year of ICAST 2 years ago, everybody and their mother wanted to know about what happened. And there were several times that I broke down because, and I don't want to break down now at all, but Boudreaux was my son's favorite. We called Boudreaux Uncle Boudreaux. Thomas called him Uncle Boudreaux. And the day before Boudreaux died, we were coming back from a swimming meet, and Boudreaux knew that, and here I'm getting emotional. Boudreaux wanted to talk to Thomas to see how he did. And Thomas and I were driving back from the swim meet just here in Lake Brantley. We were coming home, and I knew Boudreaux was having a important surgery because he had that flesh-eating disease. And hold on, I got to reply. He wanted to make sure Thomas was okay. Not that Thomas has very many bad swim meets. My son's an unbelievable swimmer. Is he this level? No. Is he this level? Yes. So Boudreaux really wanted to make sure that Thomas was okay before he went into surgery. Now, he went into surgery, and he didn't come out of surgery. And then the next day, I was at his bedside making sure and saying goodbye to him because he fell into a coma, and they were going to pull everything out of him, and we knew he wasn't going to live. And so for him to put my son's bad day in first really was special for me. So it's just a story, a thing that I haven't really talked about. Okay, so let's get back to this. Sorry. Yeah, I agree. Bassmaster, I think they're going to make some changes to the live. I think I'm all over now. I think losing Mark Zona was a big deal. I really want to see Zona back. I don't think he is, and I know he's doing something else. Someone said that he was doing a new podcast. I haven't talked to Zona but twice since that day, and I need to get a hold of him again. BPT tournaments, the best. Brett, you are 100% dead on right. The team tournaments were freaking fantastic. There, Bassmaster needs a reality TV show. They do. You want to know what they need? Housewives of the Bassmaster Elites. I will watch that if they have that. I'm not joking. I will watch that. Yeah. Family first. And you guys are my family too. I should say that. I didn't like the idea at first. I heard it. Bass should do half. I agree. Jeffrey, I agree. They need to do something that's different. Yeah, they need to consider Olive Garden when your family. Exactly. Classic is the 21st and the 23rd of March, I believe, Dwayne. And if I'm wrong, I apologize. I believe the BPD is trying to relate to more general. I agree with you. The problem is that, like, you ask here, here's an exact perfect story. You ask my wife when she watches me watch the elites and she sees every guy staring down and she sees them watching the screens. Her first instinct when I told, she goes, well, what are they doing? What are they staring down at? I said, oh, look down at a screen. She goes, isn't that cheating? And I thought, has she been watching Randy's channel? So I think BPT is trying to do it. I am going to Palatka for the St. John's River tournament. Jeffrey, I am. If you want to email me and say hello or hang out or go have dinner or lunch or whatever, email me, ffrsteve@gmail.com. It isn't a matter of, one of the things, I apologize too much, Tom, to be honest. I do. I apologize for everything, even if it isn't my problem. It's just how I was brought up. Yes, KVD experience is awesome. I texted him after the first episode, told him it was one of the best shows I ever did. I'll be honest, I texted Dave Mercer the other day and said, dude, your trailer is ridiculous. Probably one of the things that's the best thing I ever do. I think the Zona show and anything Zona does is going to be as good as ever. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. You're dealing, Jeffrey said it perfect. We're dealing with a minority of people that are watching this, and we've alienated a lot of people because they hear the They hear the cheating allegations. There's a video coming up about tournament cheaters, how have tournament cheaters hurt bass fishing? And what the gist of it is they've hurt our sponsorship so much that people think that every bass fisherman's a liar and a cheater. And then that hurts everything in sponsorships. The bass owners leave live to have a camera on the scope showing us going. Yeah, they do. Randy's channel. I don't know. I have someone come walking in the house. Todd, are you talking about Palaka? Okay, housewives. We all know who we're getting. It'd be a strip show. We need a national tiny boat tournament. Tillers. I agree with you. That would be great. I've explained forward facing up and down to my wife, trying to be fair to each side, and show says that sounds like so. I don't know if we're married to the same person, Sam, but that's exactly what Sonia says nonstop. She constantly tells me, "Is that cheating? How is that fair? How is that's like deflating a football? How is that fair? It's crazy." Wow, Steve, you sound like I grew up in Michigan, Upper Michigan, so I sound like a whole bunch of stuff. Scott says hi. To be honest, do we really want bass fishing to be major sports popular? I don't think we do. You're probably Texas Sunspin. You're probably 100% correct. We probably don't. We want it slightly bigger so that we get the recognition that we deserve. However, we don't want it so big that we have even more people. Like one of the things I'm really disappointed about right now is the high school fishing tournaments and how many boats go on certain places. To hear 400, 500 people in a tournament with 2 people per boat is just ridiculous. Hi, Texas ones. Yeah. Good luck in the tournaments. It was directed at me. No problem. Half the problem with viewership in these students air when most of us are up. Yeah. Well, so I talked to CT about this the other day, or I don't even know, maybe it was CT. The radio shows used to be on from 6 to 9 on Saturday mornings, and we would do 3 hours. And our goal was to get people that were going fishing to listen to the show. But at some point in time, then you go, okay, what's more important, to go fishing or to do that? So it was, they need to figure out when the right time is. It's like even with YouTube for me. So when you start doing all the YouTube stuff and then you really dive into the algorithm of YouTube, they give you a lot of stuff to say, this is when I think you should post your video. And most of the time my videos post at 6 o'clock. Now it says that it should post either between 5 and 7. And you want to be consistent. So if we could have it on Fox Sports Fox Sports 1 at 4 o'clock, it would be so much better because we'd have a consistent time. And I think the problem is we just don't know when it's on. Yeah, I think Bassmaster does need to upgrade the live show. One of the things that I didn't like about the live show over the last couple of years is that it felt like certain times of the live show there was no voice. You were just watching one guy fish forward-facing sonar for an hour, and he wasn't talking, and they weren't talking, and it just was like you just wanted to get a gun and blow your head off. It was just too boring, and those kind of things are part of the issue of why we're not getting more viewership, why we're not doing better. If bass was an Olympic category, would it help get new viewers? I don't think so. I'd like to see it as an Olympic sport. I think it would be fun, but the problem is you have to remember is not everybody has black bass. So like certain areas don't have that kind of fishing. Not like you can't go fishing. Like a snook fisherman I think anybody who's a great snook fisherman is probably a great bass fisherman. I love snook fishing. Is MLF showing every day or just the knockoff and championship? I think this year they'll have full coverage on all days. Every day they're going to have coverage. So, but they're not having 6-day tournament anymore. They're having a 4-day tournament. So that's why. Bucket list destination, bass fishing yes, in August. That is on my list, Tom. I'm exactly there with you. I only watched the live show when Zona and Tommy and Height were talking. I was the same way this year. It is boring to watch it, and it's crazy to say that. I sank for, oh, look at you. Look at 48 degrees, 43 degrees. That's cold. I felt like Bass needed a personality guy during their live events. Household name. And yeah, I agree. I don't think Jimmy Houston can do it. Sherry is not in the best health, and Jimmy is constantly taking care of her. I talk to Jimmy a lot. I like Jimmy. Yeah, this is a problem that they're having. Their target audience is getting older, and we're tired of forward-facing sonar stuff. So it's one of those crazy things. I think there is plenty of money in bass fishing. The problem is that the money is spread out over too many series. Bass are sponsors. How many series? Yeah, I agree. The lower tier stuff, the BFL and that kind of stuff, the sponsorships aren't as plentiful. They're trying to get the most bang for their buck, and the most bang for their buck is on the Leets or on the BPT. There's an international bass tournament every Scott. Yep, and it's called Team USA. I did a video on it not too long ago. Yeah, Zona was there. It was awesome. Didn't get any either. Oh no, Chris has all the attention now before stroke. Yeah, but it is Chris. Why did I say Sherry? I was thinking of KVD. Jimmy's one of the best guys in the whole world. What do I think of Chad McGee of MFL? Oh, for MLF. I like him. I like the camaraderie between him and JT. JT is a wonderful person to talk to face to face. Great guy. I've interviewed him several times. They counted us as celebrities, even though I don't want to consider my celebrity. They needed some people that people knew for a fundraiser, a fishing fundraiser. And they had myself and JT and Shaw and Black Tip H, Josh, and they had Bobby Lane and Chris. They had Bobby Lane, and they had a bunch of people. And when we all got there, we all kind of went like this. And then they put me with somebody, and then I told Shaw, no, don't sit with that person. You got it. And then I pointed at I keep in touch with Bobby and Shaw quite a bit. So they came over, and then this is gonna be great. Let's see who these memberships go to. I gotta say, last week those memberships, thank you, CT. Those were the best. I want to see who gets them. So you'll have to tell me who gets them. So yeah, there were. We all ended up sitting together and really having a good time. So everyone go check out CT's channels, and it's Cerebral Tackle. He has a great channel. If you want to know about the Ben Milliken thing, there's no one more up to date on the Ben Milliken thing than CT. Let me see this. Okay. JT was just on Todd's show. JT is one of the best guys. He's so humble and down to earth. I'm going to get a lot of texts here in a second because people are home. One of the best guys in the whole world. There you go, CT. Come on, Snow. We don't. Sherry is one of the. Sherry. There's a lot of unbelievable women behind the men. I mean, look at KVD's wife. All the things that she's done over the years. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Let's see who the new guys get this. Because last week I think Burning Season got one, and if you get one of these gifts from CT, you have to go check out his channel. But there is a members only area, and those members only have an opportunity to watch videos probably 2 weeks before everyone else. But there's also, I'm working on one on a Secrets Exposed. I was going to do it as a regular video, didn't get the stuff that I wanted to, so it's going to be a members video. So the members are going to get that. And then there was a members video just recently last week about some tips on how to fish a bladed jig much better. Not drastically major things, but things that I talked to Brett Height about. And I believe Brett Height's one of the best bladed jig anglers on the planet. So That's why. So check that. You'll be able to check that out if you get one of the gifts from CT. Okay. The next thing, we've been talking about Bassmasters and everything, but there's a video that's going to come out about the Touring Anglers Association. Do you guys remember this tournament? It was the first tournament last year where they were hoping to get a bunch of people to join, and they were all going to pay $5,000. There was all the money, like 98% of the money was going back to the anglers. There was no overhead stuff. And it was really, and they were the first person to do no forward-facing sonar, and they were really. I really felt like they did a great job. And one of the things that, they had it at Lake Lanier last year. You're right, Booster. But where have they gone? And does anyone think that maybe NPFL saw the writing on the wall from the TAA and the success that they had, that out of nowhere they now took on what they did? New member, Texas Huntsman. I don't know if you were gifted that, but Texas Huntsman, congratulations. Thank you. But do you think that, I wonder, what does this do, just out of curiosity? Okay, never mind. Do you think that what happened there, that the NPFL saw the writing on the wall and then decided this is what we're going to do? Because we've heard nothing from them. I texted them this afternoon, and they said there is a tournament upcoming, but they couldn't give me any information at all. You're right. There was no practice. There was no electronics. They got like a 15-minute thing. And I really kind of like the people that have these tournaments where there isn't a lot of practice. I do like this. I know it's kind of crazy to say, but I think it is the right way to do it, because I think that was what was one of the things that made the team trail so successful this year, is that the anglers knew they had a 60-mile radius of where they were going to be. And you could take a good guesstimate. Like when they were down here in Florida, I was spot on where I thought they were going to go, because it made a little bit of sense, but also I was around it, so it helps. When you start going up north, it's a little harder to do, but having that 60-mile radius was wonderful. And the TAA had that no practice, and they got 47 people out there. Chris Johnson won it. But what happened to them? Where did they go? You know, thank you, Texas Huntsman. What happened to where did they all go? It doesn't make any sense to me anymore. I don't know what happened with them. And now that they had so much momentum going for them, and they had and I'm going to butcher their channel, and I apologize. I think it's North Georgia Fishing or Fish North Georgia or something like that. They collaborated with those guys. Great channel, good people. And they had a bunch of other channels that broadcast their live. And it gave them a lot of exposure that the tournament didn't have for literally nothing. And because of it, it made, you just had a good awareness. And it's crazy to say this, when I start, so I'm like a stat fiend. When I start looking at the stats of those videos and start realizing, like, I didn't get a lot of subscribers, but I got a ton of views off their videos, more than I got for anything NPFL. And they only had one tournament. So it's one of those things that I don't know. I don't know what happened to him. Booster said, Wheeler dropped a video this evening regarding the state of the new MLF BPT season. Spoke briefly about the strategy of, oh, that's great. I can't wait to see that. I've talked to several anglers about it. And like I said, some of them think that, we're going to know when they're not fishing, when they're fishing forward-facing sonar and when they're not. And that's going to be good for us as viewers. But I want to know, and nobody's been able to answer this, and I should ask Boyd, if the anglers are going to know when the other anglers are using it. And that's where it's going to be important, I think. They have, David, great question. They're still having that. That is oh my gosh, I don't even know it. It's still ongoing. There's still people that are trying to qualify to get into it. It's $500, and then you have to do a certain qualification. That $500,000 is guaranteed money for first place. It will be the biggest tournament of the year and should be fun to watch. And they've got committees, and angler groups and all sorts of stuff. I don't know the name of it right off the top of my head. I've thought about doing another video about it and talk to somebody, but that tournament's going to be phenomenal. Okay, the Classic should do the same. No practice. Sleepy Ape, I agree completely. I think it would make it better. Having no practice would be great, especially in the opens. You want to, it would reduce anglers' expensive. It would also reduce the pressure on the pond, on the lakes. Mark Daniels, not Davis, no problem. Definitely cold New England text. Where does she live? Up here. Okay. Wheeler is a machine, but he probably already has 6 different strategies going ahead. Yeah. I've said this. There's been several people. Did Slick Johnson qualify for the Classic? No. Slick Johnson needs to worry about TikTok. I mean, I don't follow Slick. I get told to watch his videos quite a bit. Slick has to worry about the Classic, not the TikTok now, because I think a majority of the stuff is on TikTok. So getting back to it, years ago, one of the things that I always felt like was when I did the radio show, some of the interviews that I remember most are Jacob Wheeler and Aaron Martens. I remember talking to Jacob and on the radio for like 18 minutes and then getting off the radio and getting into a break and then having to almost decompress everything that he said in that 18 minutes because I thought to myself, this is one of the smartest people I've ever talked to. Ultimate World Angler Championship. Thank you, Sleepy Ape. That's the name of the tournament. And Jacob has continued to do that every time I've talked to him or interviewed him or whatever. Jacob and Aaron Martens, while Aaron was a little bit harder to understand because I know he had ADHD, spending the time with Aaron Martens, may he rest in peace, was by far the best time I've ever talked to any angler ever. I still have Aaron Martin's phone number in my phone. It's the first thing that comes up when I go to my contact list because I want to continue to remember him. And talking to him was insane. You learned so much about what was going on in like a tunnel vision of brain that he could just pick out what was going on. He was absolutely ridiculous. Wish he was still around. He also went running in like 25-degree weather at the Classic one year. It was almost crazy. Yeah, Wheeler's like A Martin KVD. Couldn't have said it better. He's one of the best of all time. He was a go. This is exactly right. He was a go on and off the water. One of the nicest people ever. So one year, I'll tell you something. I have a lot of Aaron Martin stories. One year at the Classic, they had, I don't know if they rented out a baseball field or whatever it was, and they put all the boats inside like the paddock area or the area where you go get your food and stuff like that. And when you're at the Classic, you're on media day, you're supposed to kind of you're supposed to set up your interviews ahead of time. And then they give you, you have 15 minutes with each angler and you're kind of running around trying to find the right people. And then if you don't want to do that, you just kind of wait in line till the person's done and then you go. And I remember finishing up my interview, seeing Aaron, and Aaron was putting stickers on the side of his boat because he had just got it wrapped and he needed to put it aside. And he was putting a sticker on, and I'm not joking, it was off center by that much. It wasn't even noticeable. Nope. Ripped it off. Got a new one on. Slightly off, wrong time again. Everything was perfect. Perfect. And I know that when you talk to like those, if you're up north, you've probably never heard of it. We have the I think it's the Gold Coast Fly Tournament every year. And when you talk to the anglers who compete in it, they talk about how important the tiniest little things are, like making sure that your knot is tied properly or whatever it is. And Aaron was meticulous about his tackle and how he tied things on. That when you talk to him, one of the things he would tell you is the Gold Cup. Yes. One of the things that he would tell you is that if your knot isn't proper, retie it. And my buddy I have a buddy that won the Gold Cup 2 or 3 or 4 times, fly fisherman, Olympic skier. I'm horrible with names right now. But when I talked to him, he would say the same thing. There's certain people that go to that next level. Like if you ever look at CT's stuff on his stuff when he's going speck fishing or crappie fishing or bluegill fishing, his boxes are meticulous. Those meticulous anglers are usually the anglers that you learn the most from. Aaron Martins was one of those people. Yeah. The Gold Cup. Yep. Amart was live sonar. Yeah. Amart was fishing Toho right outside of where you launch. And I made a smart ass comment remark saying, hey, you're never going to catch anything there. And then he came in with 26 pounds one day. Should have never opened my mouth. Came over and made sure I looked like an idiot. Just ridiculous. Maybe a future version comparing the forward thinking of Doug Hannon. Yeah, you never know. That might be something. Matt Heron thinks elite anglers will fish more tournaments since they don't have entry fees on bass. What do you think? I think not having entry fees allows a lot of anglers to move over to NPFL. I think NPFL was going to have an issue with getting anglers this year, and they did have a little bit of an issue. But because the elites didn't have the entry fees, it allowed a lot of those anglers to jump in over there and use the money that they were going to use for the elites to jump into the NPFL. And it was like a Christmas gift. Yes, everybody give it a thumbs up. What is your top 5 now? What do you mean, Patrick? What is my top 5 now? My top 5 anglers? My top 5? I don't know. You'll have to tell me. So we're going to wrap this up fairly soon. I'm going to go see how the boy did. If is MLF free to watch on tournament days like Bassmaster? Yes, it is. You can watch it on their website, or they have an app to watch it on too. Hey, for some reason, there's static feedback when you talk. Not sure why. Just started doing it. Sorry. I might have hit this thing. It's all sorts of stuff. I might be getting tired. There might be more people now in the house that are using the internet. So why don't I just want to say thank you to all the people, all the new members, all the subscribers. Thank you very much for being here. We're going to do a live next week again. So I'm popping, I hear it. So we'll just call it quits. But remember, take a good fishing, tight lines, cheers, and get your fish on. Thank you, guys. See ya.